Welcome to my Mounjaro Weekly Update podcast. Coming up this week, looking back at 1 year on Mounjaro, some big decisions need to be made. Robbie Williams claims weight loss jabs are making him blind. Plus my weekly update, tips, questions, answers, tips and more in the community news. But before all that, let's get straight on into the Waffle Section. Howdy everyone and welcome back to all those who've been here before and know me. For everyone else who hasn't, my name's Phil. I'm going to start this week with my 1 year Mounjaro anniversary, which a lot of you might have seen in the video I've done specifically for that on the 12 months I've been on Mounjaro, which covers my entire 12-month journey. Now, I'm not going to go about it too much in this weekly update because you can watch it all there, but can I just say what a wild, fun, turbulent, fast 12 months it's been. I got a lot of support in that video, a lot of lovely comments, as I always do from most of my videos from all you lot. But yeah, I covered my journey from then until now. But what came out of that video is reminded me that although I've been struggling the last 3 months or so with a huge plateau, I'm actually over 3 stone lighter than this time last year. You know, here's a pic of me from November 2024. And this is a picture of me from a couple of weeks ago when I was getting ready to do the 12-month anniversary video. Now, I think those pictures speak volumes from the transformation and journey I've been on Mounjaro. It's not just the scale. My body looks completely different, or at least I feel it does. You know, I know it's not exactly where I'd like to be. You know, I'd like to be another stone or 2 lighter, but I'm still in a much better, far better shape than I was this time 12 months ago. You know, I've had to buy a whole new wardrobe, which was expensive, but a really nice, pleasant feeling in a weird kind of way. I'm far fitter than I was this time 12 months ago. I'm more confident again. My mental health has probably had a boost, even though I don't tend to think about that too much. I never tend to think about that side. I always seem to be concentrating on the negatives, what I'm not doing well. But that video, just going over everything, and especially the comments got afterwards, kind of reminds me, you know, 3 stone lighter in 12 months. If you'd have told me in October last year that, you know, before I even knew I could take Mounjaro, in 12 months time, you're going to be 3 stone lighter, Phil, or over 3 stone lighter, I'd have thought either, was I ill? Was I going to lose a limb in an accident? You know, how would I do that? What was the catch going to be? You know, I wanted to be thinner. I wanted to be healthier. And I'd always tried and failed with fad diets, exercise. It never worked for me. But yeah, if you'd have told me then I was going to be 3 stone lighter, I'd have been over the moon. And with the aid of Mounjaro, that is exactly where I am. I'm over 3 stone lighter than this time last year. And it's staying off, which is more important. I've lost stone or a stone and a half in diets in the past. Goes back on even quicker than I got it off. But yeah, I definitely feel it's time for a celebration. I'm going to be celebrating my 1 year, or I have been celebrating my 1 year anniversary, and definitely not time to look at the negative thing. Because I do think that, I think some of us, especially myself, we do forget the wins, and we always look for focus more on the negatives. And I want to try and get away from that. Mentioned in the last couple of videos, I want to get more positive, more upbeat, get back to how I tend to be as a person in general. But yeah, I'm going to try not to concentrate on the negatives as much going forward. I'll concentrate on the wins that I get. There is a specific reason I'm mentioning positives and negatives for a couple of reasons I'm going to go into now. And the first reason is I've started to receive a few comments recently with people getting annoyed at me or not too happy with me, mainly to do with what I'm eating or drinking and why I'm failing to lose weight. Now, I agree, it's not motivating to watch someone do that, but that is not what this channel's for. I think I've been over this a few times now, you know, the reasons why I've started the channel. I'm not going to cover that again. There's lots of fantastic motivational channels out there. Ones that focus on Mounjaro and weight loss, and they're really good and motivational. Go watch them, they're fantastic. I listen to motivational videos most mornings when I first get up, you know, you're great, you're this, you're that. It's like really positive mentors like Tony Robbins and people like that. Tim Robbins, isn't he the actor? Tony Robbins. Whatever his name is, and people like that, and you know, they're all those kind of motivational videos in the morning. They really get me going, get my, you know, positivity going for the day, and they're the kind of things I listen. Go and listen to them. I'm not here to be a positive. I want to be a positive influence on you. Don't get me wrong. I'm not here. That's not what I'm here to try and do. I'm just here to share my journey where it's going really well, things I'm doing to make it go well, and when it's going really wrong, and when things aren't going right. And the reason I'm a big boy, I know why things aren't going right. It's mainly down to me drinking too much, it's making me eat too much. I'm not exercising. Exercise is a huge thing. I'm not doing them things. I know that. With this video, these updates aren't about motivating you. I hope they do, and when I do good things. But the main point of these videos is to hold myself accountable, as it always has been. All right, I'm not doing that, but also just to show you what life can be like on Mounjaro. It's not going to be successful all the time. All right, 3 months is a lot of money washed down the drain. It is a big waste, but it's my money to waste. It's just to show other people that this can happen to you too. You've got to work with the medication. I went off on a complete tangent there. The video was not going to go in this route. It was basically meant to say it's documenting my good times and my bad times. But what came out of the comments from the yearly review was a lot of people thanking me, you know, for getting started or helping them through some tough times, or just seeing someone else struggle like they are, because some people haven't got anyone else to talk to or share their experience with. Seeing someone else fail kind of makes you feel better. It does. If he can fail or she can fail, then, you know, I'm not doing too bad. And And that's what came out of it. There was a lot of supportive comments, and a lot of people saying, thank you for helping me through this. Thank you for helping me with that. Thanks for helping me get started. So many lovely comments. So thank you for all them in that last video. And what I will say, as I touched on briefly before, I'm not happy to not lost any weight over the last 3 months. It is a big waste of money, you know. I would like to be lighter than I am, but I'm extremely happy with the way I look and feel at the moment, being 3 stone lighter. I've never mentioned that before from this time last year. I would like to get into that 15 stone bracket. I will break into it, and I will get into the 14s potentially one day. But at the moment, I'm feeling great. And another thing that I do that people don't like as well, especially more recently, is I say I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that in a video. And the following week, I normally turn up and say, oh, I didn't do that, I didn't do this. You know, I'm still fairly new to this YouTube game. This channel's only 6 months old. I never expected to be doing a channel with over 10,000 subscribers. We're about to hit 11,000, I imagine, this week as well. But yeah, I just try to speak openly and honestly, and I say, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try this. I have fads. I don't stick to things. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should be more structured and stick to it and go for it. But if I did, I wouldn't have been overweight in the first place. I wouldn't drink too much when I drink, you know. All sorts of things. We all have bad sides to our life, but, you know, I'm documenting it. I'm hoping you're enjoying it. Didn't I say this was all going to be positive? I'm not concentrating on the negatives. I'm sure I did. But anyway, yeah, I do say things I'm going to do, and I don't follow through with them. If that upsets you, I'm really sorry as well. Also, at the same time, if I blame or I give the impression of blaming the medication not work, the medication works. It 100% works. It works for me. It has been working for me. It still does work for me. It's working for all you. What I'm not doing is I'm not working with the medication. I'm not doing what I need to do to allow the medication to help me to lose the weight. Simple. It's not the medication. Again, if I've given that impression recently, I've not. Do you know what, after me saying that? Wow. I did not mean to get so deep on that. I didn't mean to sound so miserable. I'm not miserable, guys. I really am happy and cheery. I'm in a great place, and despite all that what I've gone through, I just wanted to get that off my chest, and it turned into much more of a waffle than I expected it to. But yeah, just in case anyone thought I was blaming the medication, or I was happy plateauing and wasting several £100 over the last 3 months and not reaching my goal, I'm not. But I'm not going to let it get me down either. I'm in such a good, healthier place, much fitter, and you know, if I wasn't doing this channel, and I probably would have had a break from Mounjaro around now. My partner spoke to me this morning. First time we don't really talk about it. She's happy with the weight loss. Some people have asked that, how's your partner feel about it? She's obviously happy I've lost the weight, but she is getting a little bit concerned that I've now been on it for 12 months and I've been injecting myself with this medication for 12 months, and she thought it was going to be a short-term thing, and she's getting a little bit concerned that I've been on for so long, but that's a story from the day. Plus, it has been breaking my bank balance. I probably would have took a break around now. Maybe even 3 months ago I might have took a break. You know, I lost the 3 stone. I was quite happy in the 16 stone bracket. Maybe I would have took a break if I didn't have the channel, or, you know, if I didn't think I can get to 15, so I can potentially get to 14. I know I can get there. I might have had a break by now. Moving on anyway, and speaking of a break, I've got a little bit of news that I've just took my second to last injection in my current pen, and I've cancelled with my provider, Voight. Now, they are a fantastic provider. I've had brilliant success with them. I'm just not using the extra features. And as I've always mentioned when I used to put them in this, like told you, go and join up with Voight, it's not just medication with them. There's dietitians, clinicians, AI food analysis, health coaches, all sorts of things. If you're using them, I do think it's worth the extra money. I'm not using them, and therefore it is far too expensive for just the medication. They are the most expensive, or one of the most expensive out there. You're getting all that extra stuff for them, that's why. But if not, I need to look elsewhere. And unfortunately, yeah, I've not got a provider. So right now, no provider. Who should I go to, guys? I'm going to have to start looking into it. I've got 1 week's worth of medication left coming this Sunday. It's Tuesday now. I don't even know where to begin looking. Didn't think I'd be doing this again. Didn't think I'd still be on it. So yeah, any provider, any suggestions, feel free to leave it in the comments. This has got me wondering now though, should I have a month or 2 off Mounjaro? It would be the perfect time, and you know, I don't have a provider. My partner's getting a little bit concerned. It's your birthday in 10, 11, 12 days, something like that, and another good excuse, so I'm probably going to eat and drink then, which will annoy some people. I've got Zakopane in Poland for 5 days with the family just before Christmas, the week before Christmas, so there will be a lot of food and drink there. Christmas, New Year, I mean, it would be the perfect time, and you know, no provider, like I said, perfect time to maybe have a month off, maybe 2 months off. I am literally thinking as a recorder, it's just something I don't tend to do, I've not done before. But yeah, I mean, maybe maybe I could do that, and then I could do it as a bit of a test, see how the body reacts maybe, and see how to put weight back on. I'd have to use just willpower and exercise. I don't know. It's definitely one to think about. It's very interesting, but yeah, not a decision to be made now, but maybe one for the future. Out of curiosity though, if it did go ahead with a month or 2 month off, got all the benefits of saving the money over Christmas, giving my partner that reassurance about having a little break, being able to enjoy myself when I'm out, which I can still do when I'm on medication, that's not a problem. But would it be a good time to have a little break and do a little experiment and see what it does to my body for 4, 6, 8 weeks? What do you all think of it? I'd obviously keep the weekly updates going. I'd tell you how that was going, being off it and what it was like. I could maybe space out my last 10 milligram pen over 2 or 4 weeks if I wanted to try that. Yeah, just purely, I'm not making any decision now. What would you guys think? Should I do it? Should I maybe look at doing that for the next 4, 6, 8 weeks, or is that a really bad idea? Should I just stick with it and keep going? Leave in the comments. It's just I'm curious. Obviously, the videos will carry on. I keep doing my journey without it and your journey with it. I'm just curious, would you be interested in seeing that little experiment for 4, 6, 8 weeks? Let me know in the comments below. Up next, and this week I was chatting to Joe in the comments. Hi, Joe. On my comment to Joe, I left some hearts, and if you've had heart off me in your comments, you'll see the blue. And I explained to Joe why, and I thought, do you know what, I'll just explain to everyone on the channel why. But if you get any hearts off me, they're always going to be blue, and that is the reason being I could do pink hearts potentially, but the main heart that it gives you as an emoji is a red one, and I try and avoid red where I can, and it is literally because I'm an Evertonian and I am so bitter, I am so childish, and I try and avoid red where I can, and I try and avoid saying LFC's full name if I can, but it's because I don't like them. It's because I don't like using red where possible. I'm that childish and that bitter. Yeah, that's the reason why you get blue hearts off me in your comments. Speaking of Joe though, and I've been asked this a few times recently as we move on, I get asked a lot why I don't work with other YouTubers in the Mounjaro and weight loss GLP-1 scene, and why I don't mention or recommend their channels. Now, Joe's got a lovely little channel. She's such a bubbly, happy, cheery person. I guarantee you cannot watch Joe's videos without her making you smile. But the simple reason I don't do it or I don't work on them is I haven't got time. I've skipped some of my own videos recently. I don't have time, unfortunately, to watch other people's channels every week and then recommend them. Now, they might have a great video that I might watch one of their videos and go, that was brilliant. I'll recommend that video, or potentially I could, but then I don't know what else they're recommending or talking about, and it mightn't be true, it might be factual, I'm sure it is. It mightn't be, I don't know, they might talk about certain things that I don't agree with and I don't like, and I don't want to recommend them to you, and then you go, Phil recommended them. I don't really like what their message is, and I don't want to be responsible for that. So just because I don't watch them, therefore I'm not recommending them. There are some fantastic channels, especially on Mounjaro, Wegovy, GLP-1, great channels out there. You probably subscribe to them as if you subscribe to me, but yeah, there's some really good ones. Go out there, check them out yourself. But yeah, that's just the simple reason why I don't work with anyone, or I don't recommend any others, not for any other reason. Please go and get as much information as you can, especially if you're new to Mounjaro or Wegovy and you're starting. Check out my channel, check out everyone else's channel. Go and get as much information as you can about your journey that you're about to go on or you've just started. Now, finally this week in the waffle section from me, I wanted to give a brief update on Jeff. It was Jeff Yallop. If you have been around this channel for a while, you know a few months back, Jeff had some really bad news regarding a cancer diagnosis. Jeff has been on recently in the comments to me and has given me a bit of an update both on his cancer diagnosis and what's been going on, and his Mounjaro journey, and his singing as well, which is absolutely fantastic. I will leave Jeff's link down below because I can vouch for listening to Jeff multiple times and thinking he's a fantastic singer. So that will be in the description down below. Jeff has had his operation now a couple of weeks ago, and despite a few complications which he's working through, he and his wife Julie are staying really positive. Now they're just waiting for the biopsy results, which I'm hoping they go well, Jeff, and I'm sure everyone in the community, like they did last time, will be sending positive wishes, good thoughts, prayers if you're religious, well wishes, everything else you can possibly send someone to get well soon. Good luck with the results, mate, and I wish you a speedy recovery. We can't wait to hear you back behind the camera and singing some new songs for us. And I know you've had to cancel some gigs of late, mate, and that must have annoyed you because you are such a fantastic singer, and I bet you can't wait to get back out there and start performing again and just entertain us all in general. You also did mention, though, Jeff, as well, that you moved to Wegovy after the price hike due to the price, which a lot of people did, but you also said you're going to be moving back to Mounjaro because it just wasn't giving you the food suppression or appetite suppression that you needed. So yeah, fair play to your mates moving back to Mounjaro. I hope it goes well for you. Keep me posted on how it goes, and obviously keep me posted on how the results go over the next couple of weeks. I wish you all the best, Jeff and Julie, so good luck, mate. It is now, though, time for some highs and hellos, and after skipping it in the last update, it's been a good few weeks since we had some, but I've got some for you this week. So we'll start with hi to Ian this week, who has lost a brilliant 18% of his body weight since starting in May, or 4.5 stone, 63.5 pounds, or around 29 kilos. An absolutely brilliant result, mate. You've also moved from a triple XL t-shirt down to a single XL t-shirt. So great work, mate. And you also shared a little quote or a little verse, or I'm not exactly sure what these are called, but I really liked it and I really enjoyed it. So I'm going to share it with everyone else. And it was 80% of effort for life beats 100% of effort for 6 months. And I thought that was a great little quote. And it's aimed, I suppose, at, you know, Mounjaro's not just going to be for 6 months. The results of that should be lasting you for life. So we all need to put 80% of effort in all the time, and then we'll see great results in things to come. Next up is hello to Bernice. Bernice reached out because she had been similar to me. She'd been on 7.5 milligrams of Mounjaro for the last 2 months, and she was taking that every 5 days. But she'd seen no weight loss, really. She'd seen a 2-month plateau, similar to my 3-month plateau. And she was asking me, she started 10 milligrams, and I'd ever seen any side effects. I will be mentioning a few later on in the update, Bernice, but yes, I have bloating and nausea the day after my injection. Nothing bad, just I can feel it. I've never had that really with any other dosage. As for moving up to 10 milligrams, Bernice, listen to your body. Speak to your provider if you need to. What I will say is, what was the reason you went from 2.5 to 5 and 5 to 7.5? Whatever reasons made you move up to those doses, then maybe it's the same applies for this dose. But yeah, listen to your body is the main one, and speak to your provider if you need to. Next, hi Sharon, and Sharon said she hadn't commented for a couple of months, but she wanted to reach out and let me know that she has now lost in excess of 3 stone, so fantastic results. She's gone from 6 tablets a day to 2 tablets a day for her diabetes, her cholesterol's now in a good range, and her liver readings have improved too. So what a couple of months that has been for you, Sharon, and long may it continue, I'm sure it will. Finally this week, hello to Sandy, and just like Sharon before her, she hasn't commented this time, it's for 7 months, and Sandy asked, did I remember her commenting? I genuinely did, because as she mentioned, she was absolutely terrified of taking that first injection. Now, I think it was you, Sandy. I'm not 100%, I might get this wrong, but I'm sure it was you who had the injection for weeks and didn't take it. And we had a chat and you finally built up the courage to take it. What you have shared in those 7 months is absolutely fantastic. You've managed to lose over 6 stone, and you've also said you feel like you've managed to slow, potentially reverse your perimenopause that was happening as well. But you also say that you feel this medication has literally saved your life. She said that without the support you received on here, you might not have even got started. So I am so glad you did, and that is a fantastic way to end this week's highs and lows. I'm so glad you've had such a fantastic loss. I'm so glad you got started and had such positive results. Fantastic, Sandy. That is it though for this week's highs and lows. And if you want to feature next week's highs and lows, stick it in the comments, put something about your journey, and hopefully I'll be able to get around to all of you next week. Moving on now though to this week's tips, and these tips are both something completely new to me. The first one was actually mentioned in my 1-year update video that I did last week, and it was something that I was researching at the time, so it was a bit of a coincidence after never really hearing it before. And it was around RMR, which I didn't know before this, but it stands for resting metabolic rate. Now, apparently when you lose a significant amount of weight, this begins to slow down, which is therefore makes it harder for you to lose weight. That in itself is known as metabolic adaptation. Now, this tip is most useful when you're first starting because it's something you can do to preempt that and stop it happening as much or as quickly, but it's just as useful to use throughout your whole journey. You see, the idea is to protect your RMR from slowing down too quickly or too much. And apparently one of the best ways you can do this is by protecting, preserving, or building muscle mass, which is obviously via weight training or resistance training, whatever you want to do. But yeah, by building muscle mass and increasing your muscle mass, you slow down your RMR, if that makes sense. Basically, by having more muscle or creating more muscle, your RMR slows down and you burn more calories than you wouldn't if you didn't build that muscle. So guys and girls, get those weights out, get your push-ups, your sit-ups done, your squats, whatever other body weight training you can do, and get started building that muscle, which is a tip we all should be following. It's one I really haven't, but I'm going to start pushing on later soon. Now, the second tip this week is around monitoring your mental health and your dopamine changes while on Mounjaro. The logic here is basically that whilst on Mounjaro, it acts on your hormones that affect your brain chemistry. So some users have reported change in mood, anxiety, and a sort of emotional flatness due to the reduction of food noise. And the suggestion is here that a lot of people, especially like us who are overweight, use food as a primary source of comfort or a dopamine release. When Mounjaro removes that food craving noise, your brain kind of experiences a sort of temporary slump or increase in anxiety. Now, some suggestions for replacing that dopamine loss or getting that dopamine hit back are doing some fun action hobbies or intense exercise, social communication, mindfulness, those kind of things. So the idea is you get out, you play some sport, you win, it gives you a bit of a buzz. You do something competitive, that gives you a bit of a buzz. Something challenging, something hard to complete, that gives you a bit of a buzz, the dopamine releases. Or maybe anything else that excites you. I won't go any further into that, but you know where I'm coming from. Now, both these tips were new to me, but the last one regarding the dopamine hit has got me really interested. I'm starting to wonder, is that a better part of my 3-month, I can't really be bothered working towards this weight loss. I need to do it, but I'm sure they can't. Is that part of it? It might just be me looking for more excuses, and I'm sure I'll get some comments saying it's just you being lazy, Phil, but yeah, could it be? Could it be both? You know, it's really interesting. It's still fairly new medication. It could be both, I suppose. That, however, is it for this week's Waffle Section. If there's anything you'd like covered in next week's, leave it in the comments down below. Time now, though, for this week's community news. I've only got a couple of things for the community news this week, and they're both from stories I've read in the press this week in the UK. The first one, most of you probably will have already seen it. It's hard to miss, but apparently Robbie Williams is blaming weight loss medication and GLP-1s for him starting to lose his eyesight. You know, he's an early adopter of GLP-1s. He said he started around 2 years ago, and since then his sight's been getting gradually worse. He said that when he's in a concert, he struggles to see people in the crowd and pick them out and interact with them. He says when he's watching a football at a football stadium, he's struggling to see. He said, I think he used the word, they're just blobs on the pitch. And when he also speaks to others on the medication too, he turns around and says, are you having problems with eyesight? They agree, and it's all that. Now, I'm not sure. There could be a side effect. The only thing that is making me think is none of us have ever spoke about this before. It could be. Are you having problems with your eyesight? Do you think it's degrading since you've gone on to Mounjaro or Wegovy or any of the GLP-1? But, and I love Robbie Williams. I've been a massive fan of his since he left Take That. When you were an all-boys school in the 90s, you were not allowed to like Take That. As soon as he left Take That, I ended up really being a big fan of his, and his solo stuff was absolutely fantastic through the 90s and the 2000s. But on that point, he was performing in the 90s, and Mr. Williams is 51, and I do wonder, could that have some impact onto why his sight is slowly starting to fade, as opposed to the GLP-1s? Who knows? Like I said, it could be. If you are having sight problems, leave it in the comments. But yeah, it's caused a lot of fuss in the press this week in the media, but obviously it's Robbie Williams, so it will. Do you think it's the medication, or do we think Bob's just getting a little bit old? Now, the second story this week, and it's another fantastic, I don't want to say side effect, another byproduct maybe is the right word, from Mounjaro and weight loss jabs in general and GLP-1s. And that is the study or the survey that's been done. I think it was in America. I forgot exactly where. It might have been San Diego, I think. But they're saying that colon cancer patient sufferers are seeing a massive improvement on survival rates over 5 years when they're on GLP-1 medication. I think the stats along the line, you are less than half as likely to die if you were on GLP-1s from colon cancer than if you weren't. I think the stats to back it up, with the 6,800 patients who had colon cancer, just 15.5% unfortunately died when they were on a GLP-1, compared to 37.1% who passed away within 5 years after colon cancer who weren't on GLP-1s. So potentially another great side effect or byproduct of Mounjaro and GLP-1s. And I think that's hopefully how it's going to go. They're going to improve these medications, and there seems to be lots of good side effects and things going on, or byproducts come out of them that they weren't even planning for. That is it though for this week's community news. It's time now for my weekly update. But before we go into my weekly update, if you found this video useful, insightful, informative, or just enjoying it and having fun watching me, then please, if you haven't already, subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell. Thank you very much. So we're going to start, as we always do, with diet this week, and it's pretty standard stuff. I'm going to fly through it. I've had a really good week or so since the last update. I have stuck to pretty much healthy food every day. I'll come on to that in a minute. But yeah, I did add in a few new things. I've had some Weetabix with honey for breakfast a couple of days, as opposed to just fruit or yogurt. I had some scrambled eggs with a dry piece of toast one day. I need to get some sourdough bread, but I've not. I was just added them in because I'm sick of the same foods over and over again. It's 12 months, you know, we've been through this before. I've also had a fair bit of exercise in. I'll cover shortly. It was chicken and rice for tea most nights. I had a treat Saturday night with my partner. Kids stayed out at the grandparents'. We shared a bottle of wine and we got an Indian in, which was, for me, we both have mixed kebab, so that's just meat, it's chicken, kofti, lamb, just pieces like that, nothing, no sauce, nothing, just pure protein pretty much. And then we both got a rice and a curry. I scooped the chicken and the lamb out of my mixed chili tikka madu and had hardly any of the curry sauce, it was just the rice, so it was, you know, as healthy as it could possibly be, probably, I imagine, for Indian. But I enjoyed that on a Saturday night, so that was a cheat then, and hopefully nothing too horrific calorie-wise. So that brings on to exercise, and like I did just mention, I have been doing some, so there is changes afoot, hopefully. I've managed 4 runs. They were around 24 minutes each run. The first 1 or 2, did I have to walk a little bit? I can't remember, but the last 2 I definitely did. Maybe the last 3. I've had 3 walks that are all over 3.5 miles. I managed to fit in on my lunch time, so that takes around 50 minutes. I've done a couple of dumbbell sessions with the weights and the chest press exercise that's now on. So I've got some weights going on. Four sessions actually, that's not too, 4. But yeah, nothing crazy, nothing out of the ordinary, but there's exercise back in on a much more regular routine than it used to be. My dose, so the 10 milligrams has been working well for me, or so it seems. I'm feeling great. Apart from, as I mentioned earlier on the video, a bit of nausea on the first day afterwards. It's nothing terrible. I'm still can function, go to work, everything like that. I'm bloated if I don't eat anything that's not perfectly healthy. So the Indian was really bloated the next day. I'm trying to think, the bread made me a bit bloated. Just maybe that's my body getting used to these things that I don't normally put into as much anyway. Drink, as I just covered, I shared a bottle of wine with my partner. That's all I've had, so I'm sticking to that pretty much too. So where does that take me into my weekly results? Now there is a bit of a jump since the last update, so we've got to go back to the 6th of November for my last weigh-in, where I weighed 16 stone 6 pound. That was 230 pound, or around 104 kilos. Today, Tuesday the 18th of November, I weigh 16 stone 3 pound. That's 227 pound, or about 103 kilos according to Google. So a loss of around 3 pound, or about 1.5 kilos, give or take. Now, some of you might be thinking it's over 10 days since your last update, Phil. You know, you're doing exercise, you're doing this, you might have lost more. But I think with adding the variation to my diet, the weight's coming back into my exercise routine, me actually doing some exercise, building a little bit of muscle on my calves potentially, my biceps, my chest, hopefully. I'm absolutely ecstatic with that 3 pound loss. I know I'll never get back to the 5-6 pounds again unless I do something really unhealthy and something I don't want. It's not natural for your body to lose that unless you've got a lot to lose in the first place, which I've got a lot to lose, but nowhere near as much as I did this time last year. But for now, I'm extremely happy, and I will be happy with a pound a week, or potentially even a pound every other week going forward, because that's going to drive me towards my goals. I'm getting better at linking these things up, aren't I, guys? Or I think I am anyway. But yeah, that means I need to drop another 3 pound to hit my goal for the 27th of November, where I've got that presentation I need to give, which gives me just over a week to do. It's going to be tight, but we'll see what we can do. And it also gives me £10 to lose to get to my goal before we go to Zakopane in Poland, or Zakopane in Poland, which is around the 19th of December. I think we go there, so plenty of time for that one. But I hope you've enjoyed this week's update, and if there's anything you want to discuss next week, stick it in the comments for this one so I can cover it next week. If there's any advice, tips, queries, or more you want, stick it in the comments. If you've got anything that you can offer anyone else, put it in the comments. I'll do my very best to pass it on in next week's update, and I'll share it around the comments as well. Don't forget, you can also now listen to this podcast on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts from. For now though, I hope you found some of this video insightful, useful, or just fun. And if you haven't already, like I said, please subscribe, turn on notifications, and like the video. It really does help. If you are listening across another platform to the podcast, on Spotify or anything like that, then there'll be a link in the description to take you through to these videos so you can watch me do these videos and not just listen to me, but you can also get involved in the comments and chat and ask your questions with the rest of our fantastic community. Thank you for watching, everyone. Have a great week. Keep on nailing it. If I can do this, you can do this. We can all do this. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.